Let's talk about cultivating faith with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think this is one of the topics that we don't talk enough of. Why? Because it's not actually cute to learn that you need to face your challenges and face your realities around you, hold yourself accountable and take responsibility for the things that you should be taking responsibility of. But you know what we love to hear? We love to hear that, you know what, if you do 10,000 tasbih at one sitting, your diabetes is gonna get cured, you're suddenly gonna be having money in your bank account, and you're suddenly gonna resolve your family situation or your conflict around your environment. We would love to hear more of that advice than the other advice, because we are used to that. We are used to hearing that it's okay, life is gonna be good. We are not used to be challenged as a Muslim to step into the role of responsibility, being a role model for ourselves, for the people around us, and also contributing that to our year after as well. And the thing is, adulting is hard. Life is never gonna be an easy roller coaster ride. It's gonna be having a bumpy road, but we need more faith than our religious activities outwardly that we display on day-to-day basis. Something that I learned for so long is religiosity does not equal to faith. Your day-to-day activities of exuding your 5 daily prayer in a setting and good attitude in a community is not enough to make you a good Muslim. You need faith, because faith actually challenges you to face your realities, and that is where you're actually going to cultivate faith. We all have been through this journey where we were practicing because our parents told us to practice, our environment told us to practice, and it shaped us our realities. However, when we grow up, something clicks. We no longer worship Allah because, well, we're gonna go to hellfire. We started to see Allah as a mean of support in our life, as the ultimate end goal, the one we were going to turn to. So it makes sense for us to worship Allah, and He is in deserving to be worshipped because He is the master of this world and the year after. That's where we started to practice our religion, and we started to fall in love with it. But along the journey, something started to hit us. We started to be aware of our surrounding, our environment, our reality, our self-esteem, how we have an ego and we have restlessness, emotional turmoil that we experience in our adulthood. And that is where we don't talk about. We don't talk about how to navigate through life with these emotional turmoil, because we are never taught to, and we are expected to solve situation with the most mature mindset. But the reality is most of us don't know how to, because we were never thought about it. We are kind of thought that if you don't worship Allah, you're gonna go to hell. How do we learn to find Allah, not just in our prayers, but in our day-to-day activities, when we have problems in our life, when we have financial issue, when our health is deteriorating? How do we make a resolute mind to connect ourselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that moment, to say cultivating faith is not just secluding ourselves in the closet and making sure that our 10,000 tasbih is saving us. It's also making sure that we're getting up and we're taking care of ourselves. We are becoming active participant in our life. We are facing challenges with the grace and knowing that Allah is our ultimate source, and facing life with certainty that if we don't get everything that we want from this world, we certainly will get it from Allah in the year after. And our struggles are not of a waste. They are means of us getting closer to Allah subhanahu, nor our positivity we express on daily for the joy we experience are of no means, because Allah has allowed us to have those experiences so that we can be reminded to be grateful of Him as well. And what is so sad is we are left the word faith to be the ambiguous word in Imam's vocabulary. It doesn't really mean that much to us. As long as we do our 5 daily prayer and our tasbih on the map, that's fine. But as soon as we hear the word faith, it sounds like something that Sahabis were tested on. But how do you start seeing it in your life? Why are we letting imams be the solution to our every single day problem? And we put them on the pedestal to tell us a specific solution to our specific problems. And the reality is, not every problems need a specific solution. Most life challenges require you to have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you to start seeing solutions around your environment. And that is where we have lost the plot. My spiritual journey with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I learned that my religiosity does not equal to faith. What I was doing back then, really exuding this immense iman of servitude to Allah with my day-to-day activities of praying, is not enough. Okay, because I didn't have responsibility. I wasn't aware of so many different things. I didn't suddenly think about my future. Now I suddenly have this responsibility. I suddenly facing reality around me. And in the end, religiosity it's literally out of window. That's why I started to understand that it's not enough. It doesn't sustain me enough. It doesn't come when I need it. You know what I need the most? I need faith, because faith is internal. Faith is between me and Allah. Faith is when I go to bed and I know my consciousness is at peace, because all the things that I've done, I've catered it to Allah, and then my mistake, I've asked forgiveness, and I'm sleeping with a peace of mind, knowing if I die, I can rely on His mercy, not entirely of my good deed. And that is what is beautiful. But if we focus on religiosity activities, it's all the time outward. It's outwardly exposed. You can pretend that as much as you want, but at the end of the day, who truly knows your thoughts, your internal emotions, your restlessness that you feel inside of your heart, your struggle to surrender yourself, the constant nag of picking yourself up? Who knows that? Nobody is gonna know that except Allah's one. So if we learn to cultivate faith, I think life will be much more easier to approach. It doesn't mean your life will suddenly become rosy, but it means you learn to navigate through life with the grace and compassion towards yourself. And what is so sad is we are most likely dilute our attention of success of this world and the success of the year after. Success here, people will tell us, if you have this amount of accolades, this amount of recognition, that is success. But only you and Allah knows what is success. Like, from Allah's eye, success is when you surrender to Him. So in all your endeavors, how are you surrendering to Allah? It doesn't matter how many accolades you have, but if your heart is not in surrender to Him, does it actually mean success? That was the question that I was really asking myself. And what it also means for us is to not be mediocre in our life, in our environment, in our society. And what I think a mistake that we make is we let our ibadahs be the roller coaster of our guidance through life. And in turns, we become mediocre because we tell ourselves life is gonna be much easier and better because I trust Allah. But no, you don't trust Allah, because if you were truly trusting Allah, you would have gone there and act. You would have faced those challenges. You would have stepped in and resolved those conflicts. You would have done anything in your power to make sure that you're giving all of your potential to your life realities. But you didn't do that. You tell yourself that Allah's the best thing, Allah is gonna solve my situation. There's nothing wrong in having the optimistic view of Allah changing your life situation. But at the end of the day, if you're not actively participating, are you really trusting Allah? That's the contradiction. We have a desire that we want to fulfill. However, we are not making sure our behaviors is alignment with that desire. We want our life to be good, but we are not ready to face challenges in our environment and take steps. So I think we don't have a good perception of what it means to be a good Muslim or Muslimah in our society today. Everything is misconstrued. I changed my perspective when it comes to cultivating faith. And beside my day to day religious activities, I started to see faith as spiritual resilience, which can support me every single time I'm faced with the life challenges. And because I started to embrace it, it started to be much more easier navigating challenges because I know if I face this challenge, my faith is going to increase. And every single time I'm faced with a different challenge, I'm envisioning how my faith in Allah is going to increase, which pushes me to face the challenge. It doesn't mean you're going to face it with utmost positive mindset, but it's knowing that even though you don't have the utmost positive mindset, you strive towards it because it's increasing you in faith with Allah, to trust Allah's process. And if you're watching this, I want to ask you a question. How does a faith play a role in your religiosity? Have you really thought about faith, or is it just another ambiguous word in Imam's vocabulary, and you only think about Sahabis having endured the most trenches of difficulties, and you're not Sahabis? We need to step into these positions. We need to step into these challenges and face our realities. Life is never going to be the rosiest things. However, with the grace and with intentional cultivation of faith with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can all achieve what we want. And that is success with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you're still watching up to this end of the video, I want to thank you for tuning in and let us grow with faith. I'm waiting for your comment, any thoughts you have. This is something that I've experienced, and I think if we talk more about cultivating faith with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, life will be less of a burden for us to navigate through.